Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant evening to you, wherever you may be. This is Comfortably Zoned Radio, and you're listening to Dodgers Baseball, a tale of two cities, from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. I'm your host, Peter Trunk, and my co-hosts are Linda Wilson and Bernie Rose. Before we go any further, before I even talk to Bernie and Linda, I'm going to play you something that I think you're going to like. This is June 1957, Brooklyn.
A half a game behind the Philadelphia Phils, who are in second. The Dodgers on this long homestand coming up against the Western Club. Goes back to Buffalo now. No problem to Dwight Kempenhoff. Fine evening for a ball game, and again we ask you if you're in the neighborhood, come on out to Evans Field and take this one in on a good game between two fine young pitchers. Six drops for the Cubs, Sandy Koufax for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Bullpen crew going down right field for the Dodgers. Left into the batter's box, Chicago leadoff man Bobby Morgan, and stepping into the microphone for the F&M Paper Brewing Company on the play-by-play. Here's Vin Scully. Vin.
Thank you, Jerry, and good evening, everybody. And despite the fact that I have just knocked a cup of coffee in my lap and a suit that's just out of the cleaners, it's great to be home. Bobby Morgan, Bob Speak, and Ernie Banks in the first inning. So Sandy Koufax, a belated starter with Maggie, the announce pitcher, out. And Koufax gets over the strike, on one. Morgan batting .281. He has a run batted in. The lights have not as yet taken complete effect. Koufax trying to use that to his advantage now. Comes back with a fastball. It's cut on and missed, 0-2. You see that happen a lot at ball games, especially night games, or out at Chicago at the tail end of a game. The pitcher will rely more on his fastball. 0-2, the count to Bobby Morgan. Koufax ready. Curveball is cut on and fouled away. 0-2. The F&M Schaefer Brewing Company of Brooklyn, delighted to be sending it to you. Hope things are going just right for you, wherever you may be. A pretty good breeze blowing from the right field corner, slanting over to the left field corner. Strike two pitch. Slow curve, got him swinging. Sandy Koufax, the last time he faced the Chicago Cubs out at Wrigley Field, you no doubt remember, he struck out 13. Going into tonight's ball game, he had 47 strikeouts. He's second man in the league, one back of Luis Arroyo of the Pirates. And now by striking out Bobby Morgan, Koufax now ties Arroyo. Bob Speak batting .243 with 3 home runs and 11 runs batted in. One out in the first inning, no score. Koufax ready and comes to the plate. Fastball inside, ball one. Tommy Gorman calling the ball to strikes. Hal Dixon at first, Kenny Burkhardt at second, and Dusty Bodges at third. Koufax there again to get his sign. Cavanella wigwags it out to him. Now Neal in on the grass at third. The 1-0 pitch. Too high, ball two. 2-0. Dodgers and the Chicago Cubs opening up a big stand here at Evans Field tonight and over at Jersey City tomorrow night. Don Drysdale will do the pitching for Brooklyn tomorrow evening. 2 balls, no strikes to Bob Speak. 1 out in the first inning, no score. Koufax right back, and the fastball is inside. Ball 3. 3-0. Koufax at this moment, and of course it's only the second batter, is not nearly as fast as he was in Chicago. However, he's trying to loosen up, and right now he's bent over and trying to touch his toes. 3-0 the count. Sandy ready and delivers. Fastball low, ball 4. So Bob Speak goes to walk with 1 out in the first inning. Ernie Banks batting .231. He has 5 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Out on deck, Lee Wall. Sandy Koufax and Roy Campanella, the Dodger battery. Koufax takes a peek at first, checks again and goes over there, and Speak just off the bag, steps back. Hodges, Gilliam, Zimmer, and Neal. The outfield of Amaro, Snyder, and Samoli. Kopech set, another look at first. Now the fastball is spotted up along the third base line and goes foul. 0-1 to Ernie Banks. Well, what have you been doing while we were away on the road to the state of Pennsylvania? Did you have a nice Memorial Day weekend and a big holiday? Hope you did. And I certainly hope you'll be making plans to pay us a visit. Come on out to the ballpark. Be home for a while now. The entire West will come storming in. And the highlight invasion, of course, by Cincinnati and Milwaukee. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you out here at the ballpark. Banks waiting, 0-1 the count. Kopech bends a curve, and it's cut on a missed strike two. Sandy took a little off that and Banks out front. We have confirmation of the Chicago Cubs pitcher for tomorrow night, Don Kaiser. So it'll be Don Kaiser and Don Drysdale tomorrow night at Roosevelt Stadium in Jersey City. Banks waiting, 0-2 the count. Kopech goes to the stretch and pulls it down. Now the strike two pitch, fastball high, ball one. 1-2. The Dodgers, for many, many reasons, are happy to be home. Not the least of which, extra time for batting practice. They've been out here quite a while today trying to get their eye back. Throw to first, Bob Seek back. You know, when you're the visiting ball club and you get into a hitting slump, it's pretty tough to correct it. Or you only have a half hour of batting practice as a visitor. Home club can bat all day if they want. 1-2 pitch, fastball, got him swinging, and that thing was moving. So maybe Kopech is starting to loosen up a little bit. Wasn't very fast to Morgan or Speak, but that last strike to Ernie Banks had something on it. So he now has 2 strikeouts in the first inning. He is now 1 ahead of Luis Arroyo. Kopech now with 49 strikeouts. Lee Walls batting .226. 10 runs batted in. 2 out in the first inning, no score. Bob Speak at first base. Sandy Koufax and Dick Drott in this one. Koufax takes a peek at first. Now left hands a fastball in there that's cut on and foul to the right of the plate and close to the dugout. Campanella comes over to the lip of the dugout and he has no play. Ball finally winds up about 4 rows back of the dugout. Young G.I. with his gal got that foul ball, proudly presented it to her. Like to see that in the ballpark. Another thing you like to see is a father catch a foul ball and hand it to his little son. That's my pop. Ball's waiting, 0-1 the count. Koufax now ready and decides to go to first again and Speak right back to the bag. Just the start of things. Go pull up a comfortable chair. If you want to take your shoes off, go ahead. Wiggle your toes, and we hope you'll have a cold shave or two throughout the evening. Dodgers and Cubs opening up the homestand. Koufax set. Now the strike one pitch. Slow curve, a little high, just off the target. Where Tom Gorman started to bring his right hand up and then quickly snapped it back to his side. 1 ball, 1 strike. Set. Another look at first. Again he goes over there. Bob Speak, who has not been having much of a lead, driven back to the bag again. Lee Walls waiting. Koufax ready. Now the 1-1 pitch. Fastball cut on and missed, and that was moving. 1-2. So one thing I'm pretty sure about this stage of the game now, Koufax has loosened up. He appeared to be a little stiff pitching to Morgan, even though he struck him out. Pinwheeled his arms around, did a couple of knee bends. Now he's starting to pitch with a loose motion. 1-2, the count to Lee Walls. 2 out in the first inning, no score. Koufax set, takes a peek at Speak, comes to the plate with a curve and misses high. 2-2. Simmons coaching at first for Chicago. George Midas. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Koufax set and delivers. Fastball cut on is a high pop fly and a very shallow right center. But Gilliam's going out and calling. Samoli trotting in behind him, and Gilliam takes it for the out. So in the first inning, no runs, no hits, there was 1 walk. 1 man left on. Koufax strikes out 2. At the end of half an inning, Chicago nothing, and the Dodgers coming up. Coming up right now with the Schaefer scoreboard, Jerry Doggett.
Well, Benny, there's a lot of activity going on tonight in the Major League. Milwaukee playing the series at the Polo Grounds. Crone going against Miller. Cincinnati at Philadelphia. Lawrence against Haddix. St. Louis at Pittsburgh. It'll be Smith against Smith. And those St. Louis Smiths are still getting together. Bob Smith, who formerly was with the Cardinals, pitching tonight for Pittsburgh. And Willard Smith going for St. Louis. In the American League, the Yankees play at Cleveland. Sturdivant going against Bailey. Boston and Chicago out of Chicago. Sullivan or Stifler against Pierce. Washington at Detroit. It'll be Clevenger against Moss. And Baltimore and Kansas City. Lowe's against Morgan. The games, of course, Chicago, Detroit, and Kansas City will be somewhat behind us. The Chicago-Detroit game will start at 9 o'clock New York time. And the Kansas City game will be at 10 o'clock. The Yankee-Cleveland game about to get underway. Our score at the end of the half inning of play, 0-0. The Dodgers coming on, so let's get back to play, and here's Vin.
Sandy Ambrose, who's doing a fine job spelling Carl Perillo. Although Ambrose is playing in left field, he got into the lineup because of Perillo's stiff neck. Ambrose batting .320. He has 3 home runs, 9 runs batted in. Ambrose followed by Jim Gilliam and then Duke Snyder. Dick Drott, D-R-O-T-T, listening up right now. Richard Frederick Drott, to be exact. He throws hard. He has 46 strikeouts. So if you're keeping score, we'll probably be putting a few Ks in the book tonight. Koufax recorded 2 in the first inning. Now we'll find out about Dick Drott. Ambrose wiggling that bat back of his left ear, settles in the hitter's box, and here we go to the last of the first. Drott delivers, fastball outside, ball 1. In fact, anytime you go into Chicago, come to think of it, especially in the spring or in the fall, when you don't get that bright sunshine for too long, you run into Drott, Grabowski, or Kaiser, you could be in for quite a sad afternoon. The 1-0 pitch to Ambrose. He runs up as if to bunt and takes it inside, ball 2. 2-0. Some fine young ball players coming into their own this year. It's always a good sign for the league and for baseball. Drott ready. Now the 2-0 pitch to Ambrose. In there. Looks like he changed up on it. 2-1. Dodgers, of course, proud of their 3 youngsters. Johnny Padres, Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale. For that matter, Gino Samoli, too. Drott gets a sign now. Dick ready, and the 2-1 pitch to Ambrose. Fastball uppercut it, and a high pop fly. Ernie Banks calling, waiting. He got it. 1 out. Jim Gilliam, who must be very happy to be back here in Brooklyn. He's had trouble, needs extra batting practice. He's hitting .251. 10 runs batted in. On deck, Duke Snyder. Ernie Banks wide of the bag at third, but on the edge of the infield grass. Dick Drott goes to work now. The right-hander comes with a fastball and gets it over for the strike. 1-1. Jake Pudler coaching at first. Around at third, Billy Herman. Drott right back again. A strike 1 pitch. The breaking ball is down low. 1-1. Drott delivers 1-1. The curveball breaks low and inside. Ball 2. 2-1. It might be a slider. It's not that sharp curveball. Just seems to break in a little bit and drop. 2 balls, 1 strike to Jim Gilliam. 1 out. Bottom of the first inning. No score. Drott ready and the 2-1 pitch. Fastball just outside. Ball 3. 3-1. Snyder waiting on deck. ready, and the 3-1 pitch to Gilliam. Fastball high, and Junior's on. So with one out, Gilliam draws the walk, and it brings up the Duke. And a treble Duke he is, with a .245 batting average. He's still hitting the long ball. He has 9 home runs to lead the club, and 20 runs batted in. Out on deck, Gino Simoli. One out, bottom of the first inning, no score. Gilliam at first base. Snyder waiting at the plate now. Trot for the first time, having to work from a stretch position. It comes at a peek at first, and he works the plate. Sharp curve outside, ball 1, 1-0. One ball, no strikes. Drop ready. Now the 1-0 pitch. Snyder looks at a fastball. It's down low. Ball 2, 2-0. Dick Drott, as we said, a strikeout man. He has struck out 46 thus far this year. And the high for him, which is also a league high, Dick Drott struck out 15 in one ball game. The other two close to that, Koufax and Roberts, have each struck out 13. Drott delivers 2-0 to Snyder. The fastball is high, ball 3, 3-0. That 15 strikeout performance by Dick Drott is also now a Chicago club record. No pitcher in the history of the Cubs ever struck out that many men in one game. And he's 20 years old, so he should be around Chicago for quite a while. 3 balls and no strikes to Snyder. Drott ready and delivers. Fastball outside, ball 4. And so the fellow who can fire that baseball currently has trouble with control, too. He has walked 2 men with 1 out of the first inning. And here's Gino Simoli, who's certainly been carrying the banner for Brooklyn throughout the West, and then, of course, in Pennsylvania. He was hurt on the Western tip, but he still has that red-hot batting average, and he brings up a .346 average to the plate. In his last 11 ball games, Simoli has batted .432. Well, you spell his name in capital letters. Gino Simoli. Gilliam coming away from second. Snyder from first. 1 out, bottom of the first inning, no score. From Ebbets Field in Brooklyn. Dick Drott ready, checks his runners and delivers. Fastball inside, ball 1. Continues to look around at Billy Herman in case there might be something up in the air. Good batter will always check with his third base coach, not just on a 2-0 and 3-0 count. 1 ball, no strikes. Dick Drott ready. Another look to his base runners and comes to the plate and misses again. Down low, ball 2, 2-0. Now Dale Long comes over from first to have a few words, and Bob Sheffing going out to the mound to see just what's wrong with Dick Drott. Long leaves the mound, and Sheffing, the next catcher, going out to try and settle his young pitcher. Dick Drott and Cal Neiman, the battery. Dale Long, Bobby Morgan, Jack Luttrell, Ernie Banks in the infield. The outfield, Bob Speak, Lee Walls, and the right fielder, Frank Rodriguez. Simoli winning, balls, no strikes. Dick Drott comes set now, checks his runners, and the 2-0 pitch to Simoli. Down low, ball 3. Drott, as far as his record is concerned, with 46 strikeouts, he had walked 28 men. For a fellow who throws that hard, that's very good. But he's having his problems here. 1 pitch away from loading up the bases. A 3-0 pitch to Simoli. Barreled in there for a strike. 3-1. A short lead off second. Snyder inching away off first. 1 out in the first inning in case you might have just dropped by. No score. Drott set, checks his man. Now the 3-1 pitch. Fastball is in there again. Strike 2. Well, Dick Drott has gone to a full count. And now with 1 out, Simoli and Messrs. Gilliam and Snyder on the base pass. Take a look over at third base coach Billy Herman. See if they play a little run and hit or not. Trot looks down the barrel to get his sign. Neiman wigwags it out to him. The runner's goal. The 3-2 is cut on and fouled away down the right field line on top of the roof and down the ballpark. So the kids who are listening to the ball game on the soda pop stands outside, you run that one down almost to Bedford Avenue. Full count to Somoli. The runners were going on the pitch. We'll see what they do this time. Trot shaking no. Now he's ready. Checks his runners. They go. The 3-2 cut on foul tip and held by Neiman, and it's all goes into left field. Gilliam is up, comes the plate, and Snyder goes to third. So Somoli strikes out. What happened was he foul tipped the ball right into the webbing of Neiman's glove, and the young catcher in such a hurry to get his man at third threw the ball into left field. So Somoli strikes out. The runners advance to second and third, and Gilliam comes on in on the throwing error. And I imagine that they'll give them stolen bases on it. However, we will wait for the verdict of the official score. Both Snyder and Gilliam given credit for stolen bases, and then Gilliam comes in to score on the catcher's overthrow. Snyder advancing to third. Dodgers lead 1-0 here in the first inning. 2 out, and Gil Hodges steps in. Sharp curve in and over for a strike. Going 1. Brooklyn 1, Cubs 0. Bottom of the first inning. Duke Snyder coming down off third with 2 out. Hodges batting .344. Not ready, and the strike 1 pitch. Fastball a little low. Hodges dropped his back foot back and slid that bat between his hands as if he was going to bunt. Snyder started to come down the line, then retreated. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gil's been red hot in his last 16 ball games. He's hit at a .403 clip. Trot to his windup now. The 1-1 pitch to Gil. Fastball low. Ball 2. 2-1. A double steal and a throwing error by catcher Cal Neiman. Brooklyn leads 1-0. 2-1 to count to Gil Hodges. Not ready. The 2-1 pitch. Fastball low and outside. Ball 3. On deck, Roy Campanella. Still no action in the Chicago bullpen. Early in the ball game, and here's Gold, the fellow can throw as well as Trot. 3-1 pitch to Hodges. Slow curve, missed inside. Ball 4. So Hodges walks, the third walk, given up by Dick Trot. Runners at first and third with 2 out, and it brings up Roy Campanella. Campanella batting .239, has 7 home runs, 22 runs batted in. Settling in the hitter's box now. Trot having a rough first inning. At least control-wise, he has been charged with only 1 run. Checks his runners and delivers to Campy, and the fastball is at his knees for a strike. On 1. 2 out, bottom of the first inning. Runners at first and third. Brooklyn leads 1-0. Staring in. Now the right-hander ready, and the strike 1 pitch. Curveball that backs Campanella out of there. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're happy to salute our Schaefer Award winners for the week, Johnny Padres and Gino Somoli. Somoli's been a big winner. Probably end up with half the brewery at the rate he's going. Trot set. And the 1-1 pitch to Campy. Curve outside. Ball 2. 2-1. Have some wonderful gifts, you know, Schaefer Award. All kinds of home appliances, radios, balls, 1 strike. Scott delivers 2-1 to Roy. Fastball and low, ball 3. So Dick Trott having trouble with his control now. He's walked 3 men here in the first inning. 1 run is over. He might have been out of it had the ball not struck in Neiman's web. However, once it did that, the young catcher made a hurried throw, went into left field. 3-1 pitch to Campanella. Fastball cut on a high drive to deep right field. Back goes Zanega. This one's going to be off the side of the scoreboard and bounding away. In comes Snyder. Right back of him is Hodges on a stand-up double by Campanella. E-R-N-A-G-A, 26-year-old right fielder. This is the first time he has ever played at Ebbets Field. And many a right fielder has spent a sleepless night thinking about the concave wall and the many-sided scoreboard. That thing took the wrong carom as far as Zanega was concerned. Bounced all the way over near the foul line. So Campanella doubles right off the Schaefer scoreboard to right, drives in 2 more, and the Dodgers now lead 3-0 in the first inning. Campanella now has 24 runs batted in. Roy at second, Charlie Neal the batter with 2 out, and the fastball comes low, ball 1. Bob Sheffing, going along with his young pitcher, finally stands up in front of his dugout and motions with his right hand to get somebody loose down there in the bullpen. They didn't see him, and he now finds out about the telephone, so he'll ring. Curve to Charlie Neal, in for the strike, 1-1. So they are moving around now in the Chicago bullpen. Brooklyn 3 runs on 1 hit. Throwing error by catcher Neiman, got 1 run over, and Campanella has just doubled in 2. The 1-1 pitch down to Neal, cut on and missed, 1-2. Waiting, 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 out of the first inning, 3-0 Brooklyn. Campanella coming away off second base. Now the 1-2 pitch to Neal is cut on and missed, strike 3. So Charlie goes down, and that closes out the first inning. So both starting pitchers with reputations of being strikeout men, and each starter has struck out 2 men in the first inning. However, Koufax walked just 1 man and got out of the first inning. Dick Trott discharged with 3 runs on 1 hit, a double steal, a costly throwing error, and 1 man left on. At the end of 1 inning, Brooklyn 3, Chicago 0. Now let's hear from Jared.
Well, now, while the field changes hands, let's have a couple of young friends take the spotlight. How about it?
For real enjoyment, get Schaefer beer. For real enjoyment, ask for Schaefer. It's real beer. For real refreshment, get Schaefer beer. For real refreshment, ask for Schaefer. It's real beer. That's a real trumpet. That's real beer. For real enjoyment, get Schaefer beer. For real enjoyment, ask for Schaefer. It's real beer.
All right, set to play ball in the second inning. Let's go right back to the action.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that.
Sure did.
That was the first inning of June 1957. I played the commercials for you and everything, and Vin Scully sounds exactly the same today as he did back then, at least to my ear.
It was great to hear it. Can't be off the wall.
To hear the background, could you hear Tex Rickert announcing in the background on the PA system?
I did.
I don't know that I was hearing that.
Okay, because I could even hear the guys yelling, "Hot Franks here, Hot Franks." I hear everything over here. So I don't know how it translated from phone to phone. But anyway, I thought that I would give our listeners some Vin Scully history there, instead of just praising him, as we always do on our show, that they could hear what a fine broadcaster he was even 50 years ago, and continues to this very week. I hope that comes across loud enough to be viable on our show, and if it does, so be it. If it doesn't, well, I tried. Now, the second half of the show, we're going to go to Los Angeles and talk about the 1963 Dodger team, which swept the New York Yankees 4 in a row in the World Series, using some Brooklyn power, both on the mound and at bat. I believe Drysdale, Koufax, Padres were all part of that. And I'm going to turn it over to Bernie Rose. Bernie, go ahead.
All right. Well, I dug out my old, one of my discs with the Dodger World Series. And, of course, it was narrated none other than by Vin Scully. So that was pretty cool. And the first great nugget of information that I got, or one of them, that I did not get looking it up, was that it took till Game 4, and Mick did not have a good series. Mickey Mantle only hit 133 in the series, but he only played 65 games that season. Mm-hmm. But supposedly he was healthy and ready to go. But he had a rough series. But he hit a home run in Game 4, which has an interesting number that we'll get back to Game 1 in a second. His 15th World Series home run, which at that time tied the World Series record with Babe Ruth. So there's a nugget of information to come out of the 1963 World Series. And he did hit it off Sandy Koufax. And that was a 2-1. It was the only run the Yankees got in Game 4, if I'm not mistaken. In the 7th inning, he got that run, and the Dodgers won Game 4 to complete the sweep 2-1. Of course, the other 15 I'm speaking of is Game 1, the World Series record at the time for strikeouts in a World Series game by Sandy. The Dodgers scored only 12 runs in the 4 games, but the Yankees scored only 4. And the Yankees only hit 171 in that series.
Wow.
So it made the Dodgers 214 look great. But think about that. And think about this. If I'm not mistaken, because Sandy went complete games, this is how the game has changed. He threw a complete game in Game 1. He threw a complete game in Game 4. Don Drysdale threw a 1-0 complete game shutout in Game 3. And Johnny Padres went, into the ninth, the 8th, 9th, and they brought in Ron Peronowski to close it out. And that was it. It was over.
Yeah.
They pitched 4 pitchers.
Yeah, and the longest game of the 4 was 2 hours and 13 minutes.
Yeah. Think about that.
We're all playing in the daytime.
That's true, too.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, the Yankees had almost as many hits as the Dodgers. They had 22 hits. The Dodgers had 25. But there was an 8-run difference, and obviously, we all know what happened. What struck me was, and I guess you could probably say this about any era, I suppose, but the combination of the old and the new, and you can really see it. And me being from New York and then being a Dodgers fan, so I'm really seeing it. And the Yankees, Whitey Ford only won 10 games that year. And the new guys, Al Downing won 13, and Jim Bouton won 15, yet Ford started games 1 and 4.
Wow.
And he was the old guy. And Harry Bright and Yogi, believe it or not, had 1 at-bat in the whole series, a pinch hit. Yogi was coaching first base. Did you remember that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, that blew me away. I mean, Elston Howard was the younger guy. Elston Howard started all the games, and Elston Howard hit .333 in that series. He was the Yankees' really best player. Kubek hit .188. Boyer wasn't a hitter anyway, but he hit .077.
Oh, God.
Mick hit .133. Roger Maris went 0 for 5, got hurt, if you recall, running into the stands in right, and hurt his arm and was out for the rest of the series. And that happened early, I guess, in Game 2. And I found that interesting. And then the Dodgers, you had Gilliam and Dick Tracewski and Johnny Padres still, a major force. And then you had all the new, some of the newer guys. I mean, Koufax and Drysdale obviously went back to Brooklyn, but really made their name in Los Angeles.
Did Bill Skowron play first base for the Dodgers in that World Series?
I was just getting to that. Absolutely. And Bill Skowron Moose had a great series. Tommy Davis, one of my favorite Dodgers. And actually three of my favorite players at the time, Koufax, Davis, and Mantle, were all in this series. Tommy Davis hit .400. Bill Skowron hit .385. And Frank Howard hit .300. Everybody else didn't do much of anything. I mean, Roseboro did hit a home run, big home run, in Game 1. And Howard hit a shot that actually was the first one to hit it way back up in the pavilion in left field. It was the first time ever.
He hit it in the third deck in left field off of Whitey Ford. I remember that home run. Some people say it was the longest home run they ever saw.
Right. And some real exciting stuff. Skowron was 2 for 3 with an RBI, and 2 for 3 and 2 RBIs in Game 1, 2 for 4 and an RBI in Game 2. So he was big, and 1 for 3 in Game 3. Tommy Davis 3 for 4 in Game 1, 2 for 4 and an RBI in Game 2. He was, and he hit .400 for the series. And the new names on the Yankees are Pepitone and Tresh. Tresh actually had a decent series, had a couple of big hits, but, they just weren't able to get it done. And here's a great nugget of information. Mel Allen, his 22nd and final World Series broadcast, I guess 22nd game, I guess that would be. He came down with severe laryngitis doing the NBC game, and Vin Scully came in to take over.
That's right. And then that was the last. Yeah, that was, like you said, the last.
The Yankees did make the World Series next year, but Allen was passed over for Phil Rizzuto.
Right. Yeah. Right. I had that too.
And so that was Mel Allen's last, World Series game. And don't forget, the Yankees were the 2-time defending champions, had never been swept in the World Series.
Yep.
And out of all the Dodger World Series wins at the time, anyway, and actually I think going ahead, they never won at home. They always won on the road. They won this one, obviously, in L.A.
The only one, right, and it's also the first World Series played at Dodger Stadium.
Very true.
That's true.
1959, they didn't have it. That is correct.
A couple of things that I remember, kind of crazy things I remember about the 63 series. Number one was that when Koufax struck out 15 Yankees in the first game, he broke Carl Erskine's record at the time of striking out 14 Yankees.
That is correct.
10 years before in the World Series. The other thing I remember was that it was weird seeing Bill Skowron playing first base for the Dodgers. Not only was it weird to see him playing for the Dodgers, but he was wearing Gil Hodges' uniform for number 14, which killed me. I couldn't believe my eyes.
I saw that. That was mind-blowing.
One other little nugget, and then I'll stop, was I read a couple of places that Frank Sinatra had bet on that World Series, and that one of the caveats or one of the codicils of his bet was that it would pay off something ridiculous like 100 to 1 or 10 to 1 or something like that if the Dodgers swept. And he won over $100,000 in Las Vegas betting on the Dodgers in that World Series. And those are the things I remember about that World Series. But a lot of Dodgers, especially on the pitching staff, were holdovers from Brooklyn. And I was rooting very, very heavily for the Dodgers in that World Series. And when they swept, I was on cloud nine. It was fantastic. What do you know about that, Linda Wilson?
Well, obviously that's for as far as the World Series before my memory goes. That's one that everybody talks about. All the older fans that I know will tell you that, the first one that they won in Brooklyn in '55 was special, but this one, sweeping the Yankees, is just unthinkable. And so it was just kind of, the pinnacle. So I guess that's just, the most amazing thing to think of, because nobody would have imagined the Yankees being swept.
No, not at that time, not at all. But I was 12 years old, and I was in my glory. I was a huge baseball, huge Dodgers fan, and I bet all my friends, like 25 cents, 50 cents, that the Yankees were going to win. And I was in New York. I probably made, $5.
I was taking my driver's test. And
there you go.
Thank God, the guy who got in my car was more worried about the World Series than he was about me driving. He just said, just drive. You have a radio, put on the World Series. I put on the World Series, and he was keeping score of the World Series. He wasn't even watching me. And ironically, my driver's test, I took it in Jersey City, and he had me drive around Roosevelt Stadium, where the Dodgers had played in '56 and '57. So here I am driving my car around in circles around Roosevelt Stadium, listening to the World Series. That was my driver's test.
Wow. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's very cool. That was very, very
that's
cool.
Great.
Believe me. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
So I was watching the film clips today, and I just, they always called him Big Frank Howard.
Oh yeah.
I got to tell you, when I forget on what play it was, he was running around from second and scoring, and it almost looks like he's stumbling. He didn't, he was so big. It just seemed to me as he was rounding third and took this wide turn, that every step he took, it like it was the Incredible Hulk, like the earth was shaking. The field, that's what it looked like to me. And he had a great series, and I never understood why he was not longer, with the Dodgers. I don't know what they saw there.
Yeah, I don't know either. He was a strong guy. I remember that season when the Dodgers came into the Polo Grounds to play the Mets. I got there very early when they opened the gates. They opened the gates like at 11:30 in the morning, and I was there, and the Dodgers taking batting practice. And I remember Howard hitting ball after ball up in the second deck in the Polo Grounds in batting practice. And toward the end of batting practice, at the very end, when they were folding the screen down, the screen that goes around home plate during batting practice, they were actually in the process of folding it down, the grounds crew, when Skowron jumped back in for one more swing, and he swung with, it was an outside pitch. Remember, this is batting practice. And he hit with just his left arm. This is Skowron. His left arm, and he hit a ball to almost dead center field, a little bit over to the left. I wouldn't say it was left center. It was a little bit off of center field, a little over to the left, and it actually short-hopped the wall. It had to be like 450 feet, and he hit it with one arm. And that's stuck in my mind, boy. I didn't forget that for a long, long time.
Sure,
it was really
sure.
something. Those were the days when the Dodgers and the Mets would play these 16-5 games, or 15-2 games, you know, and the Dodgers would hit like 7 home runs, and you know, those were crazy, crazy days, boy, crazy days.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And one other thing, you know, when they're playing those first 2 games in Yankee Stadium, I think it was Frank Howard hit a shot way out in left center that in today's game, and even then probably in a lot of other stadiums, but would have been so far out a home run. And yet it went over Mantle's head, but, you know, it just landed even before the warning track. But
left center was 457, 457. Yeah.
And, you know, you could see the monuments a little farther out, rather, you know, in center, right where it used to say 461. But it just brought back a lot of memories, and it's just shocking, you know, how the game has changed. It really made me see that, you know, but yet still, it was very cool. And seeing all those old names, Ralph Terry came in relief, Steve Hamilton, Hal Renniff. When was the last time you heard these names? And Terry was a starter, but obviously he just used him in relief in that series.
Oh, and in the World Series, you do anything, right?
Ron Fairley got 1 start and a pinch hit or 2, but Howard was out there. You know, Willie Davis and Maury Wills. I mean, it was great to see this, you know, and John Roseborough and, you know, and of course Jim Gilliam.
So you mentioned Dick Tracewski about
he played
10
second,
minutes ago. Yeah, Dick Tracewski wore number 44. And Johnny Roseborough in Brooklyn wore number 44. And when the Dodgers moved to L.A., he switched to number 8. And Tracewski got 44. And Padres, who you mentioned before, was always number 45 in Brooklyn. And when he went to L.A., he switched to number 22.
Right.
So Roger Craig was number 40 in Brooklyn. And when they went to L.A., he switched to number 38. Just some, you know, crazy tidbits for the real nut fans like myself, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they're letting Kershaw wear Padres' number. Speaking of which, what a game last night.
Yeah.
That was something.
That was a game, boy.
Nice to see Clayton. Looks like he's getting back on track now. Back from the.
I watched it to the bitter end because of Vin Scully. I really had no, and Linda's going to get mad at me, but I'm going to have to be honest. I had no hope that they were going to win that game because I didn't know Bruce Bochy. I didn't know Bruce Bochy was so stupid that he would take his pitcher out of the game. The guy didn't even have 100 pitches, and he takes him out. The worst bullpen in the major leagues, and the Dodgers they hit line drive after line drive after Madison Bumgarner was out of the game. I couldn't believe he did that. I
don't know why he did that.
Well, he did that because Bumgarner was losing his cool.
Yeah, that's true.
That little tiff he had with Puig.
Something about him and Puig. I know Puig hit the home run. A little bit of a bat flip, but you know he's just wrapped a little tight the way it appears.
It was. It seemed to me like I don't think I had ever seen Bumgarner become unglued like that, and I think that's probably what was behind Bochy doing that. Probably didn't, if he had left him in, he may. I mean, who knows? It's kind of like a crapshoot, which is worse.
Yeah.
You know, leaving a guy in that's lost his cool, or bringing their bullpen in.
But it's not just with the Dodgers. I've seen him on a few occasions, but after the home run, the bat flip, and that altercation, and the next time they faced each other in another game, first thing he did was hit Puig in a foot.
Yes.
And then it started all over again. I mean, this is an ongoing thing.
It is an ongoing thing, and you know something.
Puig, just for the entertainment factor.
If the Giants make the postseason, you're going to see more of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If the Giants make the postseason and they have to go through the Dodgers again, you'll see more of that. Believe me, you'll definitely see it. And
here's an interesting
go ahead.
tidbit of information that the both of you are going to remember, and it's a little. It might ring a bell for where we are right now, and that's why I loved '63 so much, and the fact that they did it in style. In 1962, the Dodgers blew a 4-game lead with 7 to play.
Yeah.
Right.
And then lost the 2 out of 3 playoff to the Giants.
Right.
So here we are with a 6-game lead with 12 to play.
Right.
And they still have 5 games together, but the lucky thing is the last 3 are with the Giants up there, and I'd like to think it'll be over by then.
I
but of
hope
course,
so.
well,
I sure hope so.
it's not their year.
Yeah,
right. It's not.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what you got to keep remembering. Not their year.
I'm telling you. But I have to
But
say,
baseball is a funny game, and just when you think you have the other guy down and out, he comes back off the canvas, bites you in the ass. You never know with baseball. You never know with baseball.
That's right.
It's very interesting. So what are the rules now with the rosters for the postseason? Because even last year, I didn't think that Seager came up until after September 1st or on September 1st, and yet he was eligible to play.
Right. Yeah, he came up on, I believe, September 1st or 2nd. Yeah.
But didn't it used to be you had to be on the team by August 31st to be eligible for the postseason?
I can't say for sure, honestly. I plead ignorance on that.
No, that's true. That's a rule.
That is true.
That's a rule. If you don't pull a guy up,
there's a possibility.
If you don't pick a guy up by August, he can't play in the postseason.
Right, but Rory did play last year, so there's got to be some sort of
let me throw something
somewhere.
Let me throw something out here that's a possibility. I know that the Dodgers played a series in San Diego starting around September 1st last year because I was at Seager's Major League debut. Now, there's a possibility that they could have been off the day before and called him up that day. I don't know.
That's what it
that could
possible.
be.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't looked it up, but
that's more than possible. That's more than possible. That's probable because you're ineligible if you come up September 1st.
Yeah.
Right, that's right. So, because I heard them talking about, setting the roster and all that, and I would sure like to see Tolles on that roster, because this kid is just impressive, like you said earlier.
Yeah,
he'll be on it.
And he was up, he was up in August, so we know that.
He was. All right, good, because, he was, wasn't he? That kid has just been something, and we never heard of him, like you said earlier. So it's been an exciting last 2 months of the season for sure, and it was an exciting 1963 World Series, I can tell you that, for Dodger fans anyway.
One last note on that 63 World Series. That is the first time in a major championship series in any sport that New York had faced Los Angeles.
Right. In anything.
63?
Right.
Yes, that was it. I saw
Even the Knicks and Lakers?
Correct. For a
Yep.
championship. Nothing like that had happened yet. The Knicks and Lakers, the Kings and the Rangers, all this stuff happened later.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that, huh?
That is weird.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
That's crazy, man.
Professional, like major league sports were very new in LA at that time, and so, as you saw over the years, they had a few more of those, but that was the first.
Yeah, what always kills me, what kills me is sometimes when I play those old tapes of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and Scully will talk about some kid who just came up either for the Dodgers or for someone else, somewhere else, some other team or something. He says, he played in Los Angeles last year in the Pacific Coast League, and he hit 291 or whatever. And I'm going, oh, Vinny, you don't even know what you're talking about. This is, he's and Red Barber, the same thing, like in 1950. He'll be talking about some kid pitcher that the Dodgers picked up. Yeah, last year out on the coast, he played for Los Angeles out on the Coast League, and he won 13 games. And I'm going, oh man, this is like too much. I mean, who back then would have thought Los Angeles had anything to do with the Dodgers?
That's right.
Really ironic. Anyway, we're all sitting here, and we're talking about the '63 series. We're talking about Vin Scully, talking about Ebbets Field, talking about all this stuff, and we're talking about how, they're 6 games in front with 12 games to play, and we're sitting. All three of us are like a sitting duck. We're just waiting. We're sitting there, and Bruce Bochy can pick us off with his shotgun, because 1962 and 1951 can happen again.
That's right.
So, don't get too full.
On the other hand, there was no wild card in either one of those years.
No, there wasn't.
That's true.
There wasn't. But
you have a little more leeway, and I'm not going to want to say anything like they're going to blow it, but I'm just saying you have a little more leeway these days than you ever did before.
After the game was over last night, I sent both of you an instant message on the message thing, and Bernie was probably already sleeping, and maybe Linda saw it before she went to bed or anything. But as soon as I wrote it, and then I clicked on send, and it went out, I got a strange cold feeling down the back of my neck, because what I wrote was, the Giants is dead.
I saw it.
I sent it, and I said, you know something? You shouldn't have sent that. Karma doesn't like that shit. Karma doesn't play that game, baby. That could come back and haunt me. That could come back to haunt me.
Well, let's hope not.
Let's hope not. I have a really good feel. I really like what, even if you guys don't agree with all his moves, I like the fact that Dave Roberts has been able to keep this team on the same page with all the things they've had to go through.
I have no problem with Dave Roberts. The only problem I have, and HAD had, and probably continue to have with him, is that he takes orders from the front office.
Right.
He's not really the manager. It's really the front office. Those 2 or 3 guys, they tell him what to do, who to play, where to bat them, what not to do, what pitchers to use, what pitchers not to use. And that bugs me. That really, really bugs me.
On the other hand, that he's got the same, he's on the same page with them as far as philosophy goes, and it takes regardless of what the on-field moves are, he has to have the right mindset with all the players in order to keep them on the same page with all the injuries they've had to go through. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't see this team doing as well under Mattingly if they have the same challenges this year.
I happen to agree with you. I think Dave Roberts, for all of his shortcomings, I think he has the clubhouse in his corner much more than Mattingly did. I think he relates much better to the ball players than Mattingly did, and that's not really a knock on Mattingly. It's just a different style,
and a lot of the players have mentioned that the relations with the manager are very good this year. So.
Yeah, they have, and I had my concerns earlier on, but you are 100% correct, Linda. He has held this team together.
Yeah, he's got the
Kershaw
club
went
out.
down. He was out, 9 weeks?
Yeah.
Of really the dog days, all July and August, really, pretty much. And
the Dodgers were like 31-21 without him or something like that.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, they did well.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to wrap it up, guys. We're over an hour now. Our
Right.
producer,
Okay.
Ralph, is going to cut the show up in pieces here.
You're going to pull the
We're going to have
plug.
to sign off. We're going to have to sign off.
We've got another game to watch, too.
There you
Okay.
go.
Definitely do.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay. All right, listen,
All right.
thank you for your input. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys along the airwaves, and we'll have another show next week. Thank you.
I'm going to be out of town next week, so
Linda and I will carry on.
Carry it on for me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Enjoy.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.